Matthew right here first. Thank you.
And straight in front. Awesome. One right back here, Matthew. Thank you very much. Matthew, let's get one down the barrel.
I think Matthew Perry really wanted his legacy to be his ability to help others, and the fact that he did that every day. He was very much, he wasn't a selfish person. He was someone who wanted to share that he had a really hard time through a lot of his life, and he struggled with a lot of addiction issues. And he never hid from them, and he never, tried to cover them up or blame anyone else. He really just wanted to share that he got through it and he lived, even though at some points he was given, a 2% chance to live, and still pulled through. So he shared a lot in his book that, thanks to the cast of Friends and his real friends and family, he was able to come out the other end and really share his story with the hopes that he could just help one person. Fans can take comfort in knowing that in the last year, he was at peace. I mean, his book came out a year ago, and he, said on all of those interviews that he was in such a good place at this point in his life. And he had really been able to get a hold of his demons and find a way through it. And he always said, the hardest way through something is just going through it. And he did it and came out the other end. So right now, I think fans can kind of hold on to that. And that's what I'm holding on to as a Friends fan and as a Matthew Perry fan. And also knowing that his family has a sense of peace. He talked a lot about his family over the years and how much he loved them, and they loved him, and they supported him, and were always there. So, it's comforting to see there's people gathering in New York City today outside the Friends apartment and leaving tributes to him. And it's something that's really beautiful to see. So I think that fans can really just hold on to that until we get some answers. There was something about Perry when he went on camera that just lit up the screen. He had this charm that came through so strong that was almost like you were in the room with him. And in addition to Friends, he of course had great roles on Go On and The Odd Couple and The Good Wife and The Good Fight. Of course, also was Emmy nominated twice for, The West Wing. There was these things that he did and this cadence that he carried that just was so funny. His comedic timing was unlike anyone else's. And I think a good example of that is during Friends, when, something that Chandler did was the way that he delivered these lines and that cadence of his voice that you can't even think about him without hearing in your mind. And that's something he created. It wasn't something that they, was in the script. It was something he did once, and it stuck, and it made everybody laugh time and time again. And that was Matthew Perry. That wasn't Chandler Bing. Something that Friends does is, and something that Matthew Perry did, was because he was so much in the TV world, people don't think of, movie stars as much as this comfort. Matthew Perry was in a way in all of our living rooms week after week. And it really became, all of us found comfort in watching him and watching Friends, and of course, watching Chandler Bing. The End of Longing was the play that Matthew Perry wrote, and it was at Playhouse Theatre in London, and then it was off Broadway in New York. And it was really an exaggerated version of this man who had an alcohol addiction and how he worked through that. And of course, he said it was a bit autobiographical, and there was not much that wasn't from his own experience. And it took a lot out of him to write that. And he wrote it, I think, in 10 days. And it really made a really big impact. I think people saw him as this actor and this comedian, which he is so great at, but he found a way through to reach a whole different audience in the theater world. And it was very, very well received.
Matthew.
As much as he wanted to be remembered for this warm heart and his ability to help others and the way that he did that, I think Matthew Perry would be happy to know people are talking about him and talking about his impact on Friends and on the rest of his career as well. I don't think there was any part of him that was, ashamed of that. Even in one of his last interviews he did less than a year ago, he had said, I'm going to go back and watch the show now. I want to go back and watch it. And I think that there's a way that we can all kind of talk about both. We can talk about Matthew Perry as a person and Chandler Bing as a character, and kind of how they mix together and how much comfort both of them have provided, not just one or the other.